In this episode, we're going to be talking some Vols in the MLB draft, a little preview of kind of where we think Volunteers are going to be going, as well as diving into the Cubs, Nats, and Mets, who we want to take with our first round pick, maybe some Vols sprinkled in there. We're going to be talking that today. Little MLB draft preview, 2 months away now from the draft, and looking at the Vols, right, Paul? What do you got?
Yes, sir. Well, let's start with the man himself, Liam Doyle, transfer from Ole Miss this year and has absolutely lit it up. I am so pumped tomorrow night going against Arkansas on the road. Vols have dropped four straight SEC series. Not great, but this could be the one for it. They can turn it around this week. Still a chance to host a regional. We'll see, but it'll be on Liam Doyle's arm Thursday night. And I've been the king of the Liam Doyle resistance since almost February. I'm still getting Nats fans on board with him at number one. Not everyone's about it. There's concerns about, he's kind of a one pitch guy right now, really violent delivery. There's some concerns velo is dipping down later into starts, but he's kind of putting those to bed. He's got a 36.4 strikeout to walk ratio, which is fourth in the last 4 years in college baseball. That is fourth behind only, can you guys guess? Three guys ahead of him.
I
I know
don't,
Paul Skeens up there.
yeah, Skeen's
Yep.
got to be up there with
Skeens
strikeout to walk.
one. A former Vol up there. Former Vol up there.
Not Crochet and a short Dolander, maybe, with the walks?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Kind of a trick question. It's Burns. Trick question. I
Former
think.
Vol,
Mm.
keyword former Vol.
Yeah.
But no,
And
Liam
one more.
Doyle just been absolutely insane. I mean, he's throwing 100 pitches every game, essentially, going making it through 6 innings. And the walks have, when he's had him, haven't really seemed to hurt him. Only given up 6 home runs, which is he's thrown more innings this year. Last year, he gave up 11 home runs in like 20 less innings. So even in Tennessee's quote unquote small park, he's finding a way to get guys out.
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean,
he
yeah.
limits Dan. No, you go.
I was just gonna say we were talking about it before the podcast, but even though he's got just the two like elite pitches, he's still like the strikeout with the walk ratio is like you can't really argue with that. If he's getting outs effectively with the strikeout. It's got to be something's working for him. And in my opinion, that's got to be command. He's putting the ball where he wants it, and he's getting weak contact. He's getting lots of strikeouts. He's not missing out of the zone. If he's throwing it out of the zone, it looks like he's getting chases. So I think it's kind of difficult to argue with numbers like that, even though some people are saying, like you said, it's just the two pitches.
For sure. And that's a thing when he gets into pro ball with if he's right with the right team, that won't be an issue. Like he's got a solid slider right now, a solid changeup. Neither are plus pitches yet, but those are things that can be tinkered with. And the heater is as good as it gets. I mean,
Now, if
he's one.
the Nats don't take him at one, you don't see him sliding out of the top 10, right? He'll go somewhere in there.
I think so. I think so. MLB.com had him second overall to the Angels in a mock about a week ago. I wouldn't be surprised. Angels, that's they like college guys that'll move quick. I mean, there's so many. It could be Arnold. It could be Doyle. It could be really anyone. Joe Doyle, who's a big Twitter prospect guy, he had him in a mock just like 2 hours ago. He had him 10th to the White Sox, which they love their lefties. It wouldn't be surprising,
That'd
but
be three in a row. You got Hagen
yeah,
Smith from last year, and they like the SEC too. The White Sox need a lot of help. I know a couple of
yeah.
my White Sox boys are looking for anything, trying to get some prospects up as quick as possible. So,
They got the
but
Pope, so.
yeah,
Wait, guys,
they
I got
got
a
the Pope.
special guest. I got a special guest.
Oh no, who's here? Oh,
Oh
JD.
no.
Got to bring him back for the Mets segment, I guess.
Yeah, dude, we're
Yeah.
recording the podcast.
Oh, did you hear me fucking yell? All right.
I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna have to check.
Next
We're
on
gonna
that
edit.
list, though, it got to be Gavin Keelan, you think, for the Vols? As far as draft order, I guess we can kind of stick in that sense. Or who would you have over
Him and Fisher are kind of a two-A,
Fisher?
two-B to me. They're Fisher's probably the better bat. I think Fisher I think Fisher's one of the best bats in the whole college class. I think he's ridiculous. I think Keelan's a little behind him. Like MLB.com thinks Keelan's the best pure hitter. So I think just like hit tool wise, plate approach. And I think I agree with that. And the defensive versatility. is better than Fisher. Keelan's not like he's not otherworldly at second, but he's pretty good. And he's played some short for the Vols. I don't. They may a team could give him a shot there in pro ball. He's probably a second baseman, maybe a left fielder. He's kind of like Semo, just the battle moving through some system.
Yeah, me
But
and
no,
Phil were kind of talking about that earlier. Just it'd be kind of weird to see him stick at short. I think second base probably makes more sense. Left-handed bat, kind of top of the order profile. So him playing second base, you're still getting him in the lineup and having him. It's not necessarily a premium position, but really, I mean, it's unfortunate we've seen him jump way up the boards. I was hoping the Cubs maybe would have a chance at Keelan, but he might still be there at 17. We'll see what they do, but I agree with you. I think and Keelan probably is maybe long term a step below. Fisher has more power potential, could probably slug a lot more in pro ball and at the higher levels. Also walks a lot more. Gavin Keelan coming into this year was not known as a big walk guy. Has kind of turned that around with Tennessee, and that he, I think, walked more through the first 2 months of this year than he did all of last year. That's something interesting too to look
yeah.
at.
His jump's been incredible. I mean, at Louisville last year, I believe it was he was like a 98 WRC. I mean, so he's like just below average. Like you could see like the potential, but like at the time, like was just kind of a middle of the order, back end of the order guy, and he's just blown up. Like shout out the Vols transfer team, whoever's in charge of all
Yeah.
this, because I mean, almost every guy on this list is transfers that they see something, they figure it out. These guys are nuts now. I think Keelan will probably go higher than Fisher. I don't know. He's not the best athlete. He's really a tools kind of guy. So that could be interesting where he ends up. I think he's probably a 10 to 20, 10 to 25 kind of guy, but we'll see.
And then switching, I guess now moving to the next guy, Phil, we were talking a little bit about too with Dean Curley, kind of what do you have on him? He might be next in kind of that order there of Vols.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just, I guess numbers have slipped a little bit. The defense we were looking at earlier, or I was looking at earlier, the defense is surprising to say the least. He's got on Tennessee's team, he's got 13 errors. The next highest is six, and there's not many more. Everyone else seems to have less than five. So it's, in my opinion, it could be a little bit of a sophomore slump issue where he's just kind of getting in his own head a little bit. Maybe like you were saying, a little bit of not in a habitual uh, role right now. Kind of got to get back into that.
Moving all over, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's a little bit older, so the draft leverage might be an issue for him to kind of make him make a decision. But I think that, in my opinion, it would be wise of him to play another stay in college another year because I personally think like after that freshman year he's obviously got some real talent. So I think being able to kind of, I mean, the offensive numbers are still pretty much there, which is good, but I don't know. I think that if he can come back, hit even better as an upperclassman, and then play the same defense we saw him playing last year, it's only going to improve his stock. And I mean, if he's older, he's going to come through the through whatever system he's in quicker, just based on like the experience he'll already have. But I mean, I know I know the age is a bit of a concern, but
Well, yeah, and we know in the draft too, he's draft eligible sophomore, so he does have leverage, like you said, to possibly come back. It also might just honestly come down to a number. If he has a number in mind and the team's willing to meet it, it doesn't really matter if it's second round, third round, end of the first round, he'll probably sign. But if they don't reach that number, that's where Phil, I think what you said could be interesting. Maybe he comes back for another year. Maybe he says, hey, I want to try shortstop again. Or maybe Tony says, you're going to be our third baseman next year. We're going to practice it all summer into the fall, into the spring, and you're going to be our third baseman, and you're going to hit third, and that's you're going to be your role. Because like you said, he started off leading off, then he moved down to five, Then he was DHing for 2 weekends in a row. As much as, oh, it's a college guy, he's athletic, he's got to be flexible. We need to move him, all of our guys around. It might get in his head a little bit. Hey, I was the starting shortstop on a national championship team last year, and now I'm don't know where I'm playing, don't know where I'm hitting. We bring in all these guys this year. Well, what are we going to do next year? Bring in a bunch more transfers, bunch more freshmen to come play that are eager for playing time. So maybe the roster's a little crowded if he comes back next year, but at the same time, it's what he's going to do is best for him. And as far as where he does get drafted, Paul, you think end of the first, second round? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, he's starting to slip. I'm sure there are teams that'll love him. He's a big athlete. He moves well. He's strong. Like there's things to love. And I look at the stats, and he hasn't like gotten worse. Technically, at least offensively,
Hmm.
like he's improved. He's walking more. He's striking out less. He's slugging for just a little more. He's getting on base at a better clip. But it's really not the jump you'd love to see. Like, and that's where I think a third year could come into play, where if he's willing to stick it out one more year, I don't think he's the kind of, maybe he'd transfer. Hopefully not, I think. But yeah, maybe he talks to Tony or whoever, gets some more money, stay for a year, try and raise his stock. Because he has that kind of leverage being a sophomore still.
Hmm.
Because right now he's probably a second round kind of guy. I
Yeah.
think so.
And
And that's not bad money.
no. But coming into the year, he was like probably consensus top 20 guy, maybe even higher. Some had him as high as 5, 6, not even making out of the top 10, just because this is our franchise shortstop in the making type. And now it's kind of talking about position. It'll be interesting to see where a team drafts him, but also where a team maybe wants to play him. Is he a second baseman? Is he a third baseman? Phil maybe even mentioned maybe put him out in the outfield, have him go run around in the corner, or does he have a strong enough
Yeah.
arm to play there? Do you want him to play center where the athlete can maybe come out a little bit more? I don't know. I think Dean Curley's a very interesting candidate, and maybe we can get into this little game that I had, stock up, stock down. But I had Dean Curley as he is a slider. He to me, he's stock down right now, I think.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think if he's going to get drafted this year, I mean, it's going to be a heavy slide. Like you said, people were having him. There was people saying he was going top 10, and now we're saying he's probably a round two guy. But I mean, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in like the sport of baseball is just a lot of perseverance, and if the guy sticks it out one more year, I firmly believe, especially a program like Tennessee, where it's a bunch of dedicated coaches and dedicated players. I firmly believe that he will show improvement, whether it's insane improvement and he's once again the potential face of a franchise. I don't know, but I still think if he plays one more year, he'll be able to solidify a first round draft selection.
Marcus
I think so,
Phillips
yeah.
next up then, Paul, or do you still anything else on Dean
Yeah.
Curley?
No, I think we've just about hit that right. And Marcus
Yeah.
Phillips is another guy where probably a second roundish kind of guy to me. He's very interesting. He's having on paper, it's not a bad year. Striking out a lot of guys, 3.55 ERA. I mean, a really good day two guy for the Vols. But kind of behind the scenes, 4.49 FIP. The walk to strikeout ratio isn't bad, but it's not where you want it to be if you're talking late first, early second on a guy. I'm not sure where I am on Marcus Phillips. He's I think he's got the stuff for sure to succeed at the next level, but he's got to control it if he's going to be as a starter. I mean, it's at least reliever stuff. That's why I think you can feel pretty confident if you're taking him second to third round that you'll get something like there's good stuff to be a starter, but you probably have good insurance that he's going to be a reliever at the very least.
Well, and I think it's a guy that hasn't played like a lot of baseball. You look back at his kind of history, his freshman year, kind of COVID and junior college guy, second year of junior college, or maybe that was that first year, didn't pitch really at all, kind of was in Iowa. He's from South Dakota, so up north baseball, I think we all kind of know. We've heard that conversation a lot. Comes to Tennessee last year, minimal innings, more of a midweek kind of guy. Got a little run there in the SEC tournament that got you excited. Maybe not. he's going to be our day two starter. Excited at that point, we didn't know. And started out the season so good. Had outings against Florida where just not going to give up runs, was elite against the Florida Gators that first week SEC play. But I agree with what you're saying, Paul. The stuff is good. I wrote down on mine and my notes here, reliever risk. I think that that's the biggest thing is teams are going to look at him and say, well, he can be a starter. Maybe we can get him to start, but at the end of the day, he might just be too valuable of a piece to have in a bullpen, throwing 98, 99, that teams kind of look at him more of a reliever.
Yeah, and I think he's interesting because he is young. He won't even be 21 until after the draft, July 26th. So he's a young guy with really good stuff. And like you said, hasn't really started. I'm looking just two starts last year for the Vols. Reliever, bad command. But what you like to see is improvement year to year. And this year coming in, 13 starts
Definitely
already.
improvement.
So he's already pushing himself, more innings every day than ever before. And he's improved the walks, and he's striking out more guys. And he's getting a little unlucky with the home run ball. Home runs, you can luck or not, but he's getting a little unlucky, and that could be Lindsey Nelson. That could just be leaving pitchers over the plate. But I think a smart organization sees a really young guy that throws hard, has hard stuff, and is pushing himself and is learning how to pitch still. And they definitely see we can do something here. There's something to be had here. Starter, a closer. But I think like a Dodgers at the end of the first who they have two picks, I believe, around 40 or so.
Hmm.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
What do you think keeps a guy like that from like? There's obvious improvement, like we've just mentioned, but there's a lot of like workload improvement. And like you said, he's young. What's stopping him from staying in college another year or two and really just like solidifying himself as a starter or in general, just solidifying his position so he knows what he's going to get or like organizations know what they're going to get.
Yeah, Nick, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think projectability, if teams view him as a starter, they're going to want to draft him now, give him whatever kind of that number, meet that number, and get him in their system to start working on him right now. Now, I agree, college development, especially a team like Tennessee that's had so many guys recently get drafted, it's not a bad idea to go back there and work with Frank Anderson too. So it's kind of a pitcher like him, a player prospect like him. I think it's going to come down to where a team can draft him and where kind of the signing bonus lines up with his number, with a team's number. But if they think that he can start in Double A, maybe make a few starts this year, depending on where it ends up and winds up, and then push him to have a chance to make the major league roster in a year, year and a half, I think that's pretty desirable, and that's why you would want to take a guy like that. Now, on his side of it, maybe he thinks he needs another year of college, but ideally, if someone's waving a few $1 million in front of your face and you can go start playing pro ball and move on to the big leagues, potentially, I think that's hard to turn down.
Yeah, and a guy I hadn't even thought of, he reminds me a lot now that I think about it, is your guy, Phil, Brandon Sproat, Mets guy.
Yeah.
He's just looking at it now. Final year at Florida, junior. He made 19 starts at a 4.66 ERA. His K numbers weren't even that. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, he's great stuff, obviously, but he's walking a lot of guys. And once he enters the Mets system, he's striking out even more guys. He's starting to control the walks a little more. It's still hampered him a little. I mean, he's got a 4.82 right now in AAA, but I mean, he's still kind of a guy just learning to pitch. And he was a guy that had really good stuff, playing a great conference, and a team like the Mets. I think it was the third round they took him, maybe second or third. They said, "We're not afraid of the numbers. We see the stuff. We know what we can do with him." It's worked out pretty well for them. And we'll see. Hasn't reached the majors yet, but he's coming close.
Knocking on the door.
He's like one injury away from coming in and filling
Yeah.
in.
I think that that might be part of the decision of like maybe he goes declares for the draft or I guess gets drafted. Then like I guess it's more like a who is going to pick him because the last couple of years the Mets have developed a handful of pitchers who have just like seemed to come out of nowhere. And it's just one of those things where like if he's getting drafted by a team where he believes he can get developed the way he knows he can, then He'll go sit in the minors and learn from the best of the best for the next 2, 3, 4 years or whatever, and work his way up pretty quickly. Or he gets drafted by somewhere he's not super confident in and just decides, you know what, I'm more comfortable staying at Tennessee for a year. I know they know me, I know them. So I'm that, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe it
Yeah,
just
yeah. Like if
depends
the
on
Rockies take
that
him,
year.
like
Hmm.
he needs to have an honest look in the mirror
The
Yeah.
for
Rockies have
his
been
own
take
career.
Rockies have been taking a lot of Vols too. I mean, look at
They
their team
have,
right now.
they
They love
have.
them some Tennessee Volunteers.
I
Maybe
can't even
Hey,
Liam
Dollander's
Doyle.
been
I
cooking
can't.
for them.
Yeah, like I think Dole or the Rockies might be my Liam Doyle ceiling floor, however you say it. If he goes past the Rockies, I won't even believe it because it's always SEC and it's often Vols for them
Yeah.
and Marcus Phillips too. I mean, because they need pitchers, whether he likes it or not. The Rockies might be looking at him, so he'll just
Couple
have to put it in.
Yeah. No, a couple other arms worth looking at here. We'll touch on them quickly, but you got Nate Steed and Tanner Franklin, kind of our go-to relievers here recently. Tanner Franklin had a big kind of role at the beginning of the year. Was, I think, went like 15 innings without allowing a run. Strikeout to walks again looked pretty good. That's kind of a common thread. If you want to pitch at Tennessee, you got to limit your walks and you're going to get a bunch of strikeouts. Nate Snead has kind of gotten touched up here recently, the last couple of weekends, kind of turning that around. And some people saw him as a potential starter coming into this season, kind of taking either that day two or day three. So where are you guys at on some of those pitchers that are probably middle rounds, third, fourth, fifth, kind of getting into that area?
Who was the guy that was bulking a lot last year out of the pen? Was it Snead?
That was Snead.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't really like hate the idea of him pivoting to a starter, but I think that he's very effective out of the pen. I don't know if he translates as a starter that much. I don't know. I don't really have I haven't done a lot of research into him, but if you guys have anything to add, I could probably I just like that's kind of just like my opinion on it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sneed. I'm not sure where I'm at on Sneed. Just looking at the numbers year to year, coming into this year, you see the stuff and you see, if they can make him a starter and he can just keep throwing hard, all that. This year, strikeouts have remained about the same. The walks, which were kind of an issue last year, still an issue, just about the same. ERA's gone up. It's still 3.5, but you'd want a little better. FIP around 4. I mean, a 10.5 K to walk ratio is not great. You'd think for a guy who throws as hard as him, stuff like him, you'd expect a little more. And he just really hasn't reached that Wichita State level from his, freshman year or freshman year, yeah. And that's a worse conference, obviously, worse competition, but you'd love to see the stuff play up a little more. And maybe there's a team, the development team, that thinks they can do something with that, or they try stretching him out as a starter. But for now, I wouldn't. If I was a GM, I'm probably out on him as of now,
Hmm.
and I'm actively wrong all the time. I
Hmm.
owe Phil's roommate $100 because I was very wrong about a team. So, all right, ditto. But I just for now, I want to see something, and I don't
Yeah.
think he would come back to school if for the money. Senior year, kind of lose your leverage. It's kind of this is the year for him, but I don't probably after the third round kind of guy for me.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think he's bad at all. I mean, like the numbers are showing some solid effectiveness. I just don't, like you said, I'm not. He's not the guy I'm looking at going into the draft. Like I'm not looking at him going to the draft. That might be looking in mid to later rounds. It's like we could use a lengthy reliever. We could use like a maybe he they develop him into more of a closer. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not. He's not catching my eye for any type of draft.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Looking here now at like the pipeline, what they have in terms of draft prospects, I know they have a lot of Tennessee players on here, obviously too, but Nate Snead in at 113. That would put him at about fourth round ish, third, fourth round ish. And then Tanner Franklin on this list as well, maybe even a little earlier. So they have at 106, Tanner Franklin is. And I've liked his stuff. We can dance. Big guy, 6'5", 225. Will be 21 in a couple of weeks here. So he's still a little bit younger. The walks have been his issue at Kennesaw State. That's where he was for 2 years. But a guy who's from Tennessee, who they really liked, I don't think was a take out of high school. They didn't really have a spot for him, but they said that they kept an eye on him. And after his last year with the big strikeout numbers, he's got a big fastball, has touched 100, can probably hit over that. And any kind of off speed will really play off of good velocity if you can locate it well. So he's the kind of guy that doesn't have a lot of innings against high major talent. So that might be something that's kind of pushing him back and pushing teams back. But he does have kind of more of a two-pitch pitcher with the slider fastball. Um, I I can see him probably slotting in a little behind Snead, maybe right around it. It'll be interesting, and it might depend on what Tennessee does here the next couple of weeks. They make a deep run into the playoffs, face some good teams. Their guys produce, might get a little draft bump in their stock. And then maybe the opposite. We go out early and these guys don't get these extra innings, might have to resort to some of the draft leagues or summer leagues that are available. We might see him start to slide a little more too. But two guys that are kind of similar in the sense that they have big fastballs and their secondary pitch is slider, changeup. But I agree. I think with you guys, probably fourth round ish type arms. Nate Snead probably has a little more starter potential, definitely than Tanner Franklin does, but he can go multi innings too. Um, it's kind of interesting and wanted to touch on those guys before we move on to the rest of the draft. And a name that I really want to talk about too right now is was our lone senior yesterday on senior night, Hunter Ensley, a guy that's talk about an interesting draft prospect. He's technically a fifth year senior, has no leverage. This is it. He's out of eligibility, but is having a great year to say the least. Just hit his 10th home run, I believe, yesterday. Give me some Hunter Ensley talk, boys.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take this one. And as far as the eligibility, with the NCAA, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he'll be back. Maybe he wants his master's. Diego Pavia is going to play at Vanderbilt forever. That's kind of thing. So, like, we'll see. But assuming this is his last year, yeah, I mean, he's broken out in a pretty big way, I think. I mean, for first 3 years at Tennessee, limited playing time, or at least the first two limited playing time. And he was mostly a defense guy, a below average bat. Kind of broke out last year, was get above that league average clip in WRC, played a great center, super valuable guy. And now he's ticking to the point where he's like actually a guy. Like he's not just like our guy. Like he's like a
Yeah.
128 WRC. He's cut the strikeouts. He's down to 50. He cut it. He was about 19% in his 2 years starting before this, down to about 15. Still walking about the same clip. In 368 after never hitting above 300 first 4 years. I mean, there's a real up arrow on this guy. And the problem, you know, fifth year senior teams are going to see that. They're going to realize he's older than the comp he's playing. And also, he has no leverage going into draft. So, is he going to make a ton of money? Probably not. He's going to be, I think, probably kind of like a fifth to 10th round guy, a guy that teams love the tools on him. They love the leadership. I mean, yeah, college world champion. He's been at that level. There's some teams that don't value that anymore. But they're old. I was telling you, Nick. I think like I got a team like the Royals. Royals are kind of an old
Yeah.
school team, and that's the kind of they have a massive center field at Kauffman Stadium. They see a guy and says, "Yeah, this guy's a winner." If that doesn't mean anything to some teams. To some, that means everything. He's a winner. He's a great defender. If he ever gets up to our level, Kauffman Stadium, he can cover all of that. And there's tools here, and we could save money. Go see if we can get a senior in high school in the 10th round, steal him from their commitment. Yeah.
I definitely like it as a below slot pick. The draft is just so very interesting and the strategy that people want to use and people want to play with, whether they take a high school guy or college guy, but he's just an interesting player in the sense of maybe he can legitimately play center field. And I believe it. Tennessee, they have the deep wall in center, and he's made some incredible plays. I would say the arm strength is probably where maybe it dives down a little. He has a few assists, but some teams will take the extra base on him in the gap. But as far as diving plays, he makes the above average play, doesn't strike out a lot, works good at bats, puts the ball in play a lot. And Tennessee's using him in kind of the four hole, which I thought was interesting. Not known as a big power guy, but has been driving in a lot of runs. 58
He's
runs batted in. He's doing pretty well.
he's thriving in the RBI situation. I wish I had his like uh runners in scoring position
Yeah.
numbers, but I mean, it feels like every time he's up with runners on scoring position, he's driving them in. And I mean, he's doing it with all sorts of hits. It's not like he's got a crazy number of home runs. I'm seeing 9 home runs
I
right
think his
now,
10th was
16.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. So 16 doubles. Like it's not crazy extra base hits, but he is putting the ball in play every single time, driving in runs any way that he possibly can. And I mean, I feel like that's going to be part of it. I know, like you said, he's a little bit older. Um, Kind of just being one of the older guys on a field is going to give him a little bit of an advantage. But I mean, like you said, he won the Natty last year. He's obviously comfortable now, hitting in a 4 spot after being, I mean, I don't want to say a nobody, but being one of like not really known on a team for 2 to 3 years. I mean, even first half of last year, nobody really knew who he was, and then just exploded on the scene and became a College World Series MVP. So I mean, thriving again. I mean, yeah, I don't know how much it improves his draft, but I still think he gets a legitimate shot with an organization, and I honestly think that his poise alone could help him jump up through the ranks at least a couple of levels pretty quickly.
Yeah. Mhm. Absolutely. And I think one more guy I think I just want to touch on before we move on is I don't know where we're at on him, but AJ Russell,
Hmm.
still kind of coming back this year. I don't really get like how I don't understand how healthy he is. I mean, he's not if he was 100% good to go, you would think he would be the day two guy, day three guy. They kind of use
Mhm.
him in a weird hybrid pen slash stardom. I don't know. Do you know what's going on with him?
It's weird. They wanted to obviously be very careful with him. He was way ahead, I think, of schedule, and they said he was not feeling like arm pain kind of when the season started or really got going. So he was quote unquote available to pitch, but they wanted to be very careful with him. Obviously, that arm is worth a lot of money in the draft. Was a projected top round guy coming into this year, based on what he did both as a freshman and then in limited uh, appearances before he got injured last year. But the fastball plays, and I agree. I think it's a little odd, kind of how they're using him. Maybe they're just waiting um, for the pitch count to just get into a place where they're comfortable. Maybe he's gonna really break out and start a game in the SEC tournament, but kind of running out of opportunities here. I agree. You got this weekend, and then we're in SEC tournament play, and then after that, they're gonna start the postseason. Hopefully, we're hosting, but if we're not, he's gonna be pitching in probably unfamiliar territory. And if that's probably his first like long legitimate start of the season, I don't know how comfortable you can feel about that. I hope he gets game three, though Tegan Kuhns has been pretty good as a freshman the last two starts. He's been throwing the ball really well, and he's someone you obviously want to keep happy for next year, and he'll probably ascend to a day one or day two starter next year. So it's just they're kind of an interesting spot. They have almost four guys for three spots, and the way that they're using him is a little odd, that's for sure.
Yeah, because he's, made his first start of the year back in late February, and you're like, oh, great, this guy's gonna be back for at least the back end of SEC play. It's good to have him. And then since then, he's had over the year 5 starts, 2 relief appearances, 13 total innings.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an opener role. And he's been pretty good. He's been good. The strikeout numbers are a little down. It's very small sample size. So you can't really, but no, numbers are a little down. Walks are down, which is a good sign. And the ERA and FIP overall, good numbers. You want to see him. Like we just
Hmm.
want to see AJ Russell. And I cannot blame them at all for protecting his arm. Because even if he pitches like 3 more innings rest of the year, I think he still goes first 3 rounds, probably second or third, because his stuff is just that good. Like Joe Doyle, his mock today, AJ Russell to the Dodgers, I believe, like the
At
40th
at
pick.
40.
Yeah, just about. And the teams have seen the stuff, the pitch movement, the profile. It's great stuff. And if they're confident the arm's healthy, which is what Tennessee's just making sure, all Tennessee can do at this point is make sure that arm stays healthy. But as Vols fans, we'd like to see him pitch. We're trying to win games. Team's
Yeah.
struggling. You'd love to see Russell go out. I guess it would be Saturday night, game 3 against Arkansas. Give him 5. Just
Yeah.
show him that the arm's working. Just show the stuff. We'll see. I can't blame him because he's going to make a lot of money. But
Yeah. I
we'd
mean,
love to see the guy.
what I'd like to see is maybe give him like a starter, like just have two. Well, I don't know what the term is, but like if Phillips goes 4 innings, 5 innings, bring AJ Russell and let him go the back half of the game, or at least see what he can
Mhm.
do the back half of the game. Because it's like the bullpen seems the later half of the games seem to be an issue for the Vols, but like Russell's been effective and he needs to throw some more innings. So why not kind of like
Like a
Yeah, like a
piggyback
long,
role. Yeah.
thing?
yeah, the long relief. Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
scheduling to bring him in whenever Marcus Phillips is done. He's the first guy out of the pen, kind of
just
role. Yeah.
let him go.
I think that
We've
that's a
also
good way to get innings for him. I agree.
yeah,
All right, now that we talked a lot of Tennessee prospects, we're going to switch over, kind of do a little team. So if your team, we got Paul's a Nationals guy, Phil's the Mets guy, I'm the Cubs guy. If you could have one Tennessee volunteer either in the first round or kind of wherever they fall, I guess Paul, we'll start with you guys. Nationals got the number 1 pick. Who are you taking and talk a little bit about that, I guess.
Yeah, so I love me some Liam Doyle, but
Hmm.
give me Andrew Fisher at
Ooh,
a pick 45, about wherever the Nats' second pick is. I forget exactly. If Fisher can fall down the board a little, which it's hard to imagine he will. That bat is awesome. It may get him picked in the first. But if kind of Blake Burke style, the defensive versatility scares teams off, Fisher at the beginning of the second round, that's a dream. Because Fisher, that bat's going to move fast. I mean, he's going to rake wherever he goes, and he's probably up in the majors a year or two. So I love Doyle. I would love him in the first, but if you give me Fisher to begin the second, I'm very happy about that.
I like that. I guess with the Cubs at 17, kind of in a weird spot, middle of the first round. Gavin Keelan's been mocked there a little. Maybe he goes a little higher, kind of depending. But I like him as a second baseman. Maybe they can try him at short. But Nico Horner's contract coming up a little in probably a year or two, I think. If they decide not to extend him, he's a good kind of plug and play. You could put him at the 2 hole. Maybe he could lead off. He's leading off for Tennessee right now. Otherwise, in that 6-7, that happy spot to drive in some runs, I think Gavin Keelan to the Cubs could make a lot of sense. Someone that I am really high on, just a bat to ball skills, not going to strike out a lot. That's what the Cubs have been drafting a lot recently. Is a college hitter. We're kind of in our win now mode, so I don't really see high school. So in terms of Tennessee, definitely makes a lot of sense. And then another guy I liked. AJ Russell, when we were talking about him too, maybe in the second, third round, maybe if we save a little money in the first couple, we'd have enough to get him above slot later on. He's just kind of a big question mark, I think, to a lot of teams. They don't really know what they're getting out of him. His best season that freshman year, he was almost entirely coming out of the bullpen. So maybe teams kind of are a little bullish on whether he's going to be a starter long term. I think he has the stuff too, and definitely that long frame. But I would say those are my two kind of picks, maybe for the Cubs to take chances on.
yeah. So I'm not really sure who the Mets would be looking at from Tennessee, just because they have such a late pick for their first pick. I'm thinking like realistically, they're probably looking at some of these back end guys we were talking about, like um,
Marcus Phillips makes a lot of
Marcus,
sense.
yeah,
Kind of a Brandon Sproat kind of guy. Yeah.
Marcus Phillips. Um, I I'm not really I don't follow much of like the mock drafts or stuff like that, but just based on like the team composition, like what the farm system looks like right now, I was looking at Andrew Fisher as well, just because like I think that given the position the Mets are in right now, it would give him plenty of time to develop and gives us a lot of options, whether that be trade him or just like have depth at the corner infield spots. Um, I mean, like I said, if he'll have plenty of time with Pete Alonso in the back half of his career, Vientos is as of right now looks like he'd be taking over. But I don't know. I think like realistically, one of those like middle of the pack pitchers, Phillips, AJ Russell. I feel like that's the route they go. Plus, they've been pitcher heavy on the draft the last couple of years. I think that's just what they're comfortable developing right now. So that's where I'm kind of seeing them go look towards.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you say we transition to just some general draft stuff, just
Yeah.
general teams? I'll start out with the Nats. Number one is I would have liked, we've known for months that they had it. Was hoping, and this time someone would kind of solidify themselves from the pack. Laviolette, beginning of the year, kind of looked like that guy. Arnold. No one's really done it. And there's like eight different guys at this
Hmm.
point, probably more, that could go one. But if you had to give me any three, the three names I'd probably want the most, Ethan Holiday, Seth Hernandez, Liam Doyle. And I probably gun to my head, couldn't even give you an order on those three right now. I would, I think Holiday's the most likely. I would bet, like, if you had to ask me today who would they take, and I'd say Holiday. And you can't blame him. He's in over 600 in high school,
Hmm.
just ridiculous. He's had like 20 home runs up there in the national, leading the nation.
It's got the lineage.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah, the last name, and that's not even like a joke. Like, there's plenty of a lot of guys that come from big leaguers. There's some track record to that. I don't know if it's like plate discipline kind of runs in the family. I don't know what it is, but he's he's looked a little scary in summer ball when he plays good competition. Faces good fastballs and whatnot. He's struggled. End of the day, it's just not enough. It hasn't been enough for me to be like, I'm out. Like, it's just such a small sample. And he was like 17 years old. God forbid a 17-year-old strikes out a little too much.
Hmm.
I hate this guy now, but I think I love him a lot. I think Seth Hernandez might be my favorite player in the whole draft. I think he's got the highest ceiling. Now, as far as timeline for the Nats, you don't really timeline with prospects. It's kind of a made up thing. Like, it's not like the Nats are winning right now. It's not like we need someone here right now, but there is something to be said. Like, we need hitters in the organization. And Hernandez is an awesome prep pitcher, but the history of prep pitchers this high in the draft, not great. I mean, Jackson Jobe was the most recent. We'll see. To be seen. I like Jobe. I think Jobe will be good. Hunter Green is starting to work out finally, but it took him a couple years. There's big time busts like Riley Pint. Do you guys remember who he was taken by? Kind of a while back. Rocky. So he's kind of
Mm.
doomed from the start. But uh, Brady Aiken. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Know
it's
that
it's
name.
not it's not great. I think Hernandez could be different. We'll see. If they take him, I'm excited. And then Liam Doyle, I've done my whole spiel on him. I won't go too much in, but I'd be a fan. I think the fan base would lose its mind, but I'd be so in. So yeah. How about you, Nick? What do we got?
With the Cubs, it's kind of interesting, kind of making that playoff push. We've taken a lot of hitters, have taken a lot of college bats, at least in the top couple of rounds recently. So that's where I kind of leaned towards some of my players. A couple of them that stuck out. We talked about Gavin Keelan. I honestly do think that's a realistic possibility if he is there at 17. Just someone that they could plug in right away. He'd probably go straight to Knoxville, so he'd stay kind of around the area too. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Another name that I really like, and I know in some recent mocks he's kind of jumped up the board a little bit, but Ike Irish from Auburn, kind of a flexible position guy, can catch, can also play the outfield. He's been playing mostly outfield for Auburn right now. Definitely a player the Cubs would be all over. The positional flexibility, left-handed bat. We've been begging for left-handed power bats for so long. After Schwarber and Rizzo have been gone, so guy that like that could shoot up the system, and an SEC pedigree, really like him. A third guy that's kind of under the radar, but I think the Cubs also kind of dabble in this is Brendan Summerhill, an outfielder from Arizona, was injured last year, didn't really have kind of a full season to go off of, but so far this year has been raking over 400 batting average, kind of gap to gap power, has more potential, I think, to hit more home runs than he is right now, but his strikeouts to walks are really good. Exactly what you would want. Is a complete outfielder, so he'd kind of stay out there, can play either of those three positions, but I think he, as well, kind of maybe it's an underslot. I know in Joe Doyle's mock, he had him really high too, so kind of picking some guys that may not be there, but really like Brendan Summerhill as well. And then I did throw a pitcher in there, um, from Arkansas, Zach Root, kind of like his stuff. He's more of a high floor guy. We took Jordan Wicks from Kansas State a few years ago, kind of a very similar pitcher, lefty, kind of a 4 to 5 starter, I would say, is kind of what they would see him as. So maybe not the flashiest pick in the first round, but something to kind of give that organization another arm, another starting pitcher you could push up. And then finally, I picked a high school guy, Tate Saldestine. They have his brother. They drafted him from Vegas, a high school guy, kind of they list him as a shortstop and then maybe a center fielder too, just a good athlete, but a little bit bigger than his brother. His brother was committed to Tennessee last year, so a little bit of connection there. Cubs took him in the fourth round and paid him, I believe, over $1 million, but wouldn't be surprised for them to take him as well. So bunch of names out there, throwing them out there. We're gonna cast a wide net. 17's a lot different than number one, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. I like Summerhill. I'm a huge Summerhill fan. So I I don't know if you could get him for underslot at 17. That'd be nice
True.
for them, wouldn't it? But I'm a big Summerhill. I think you're right on the head with the Cubs. When I did my predictive mock, they've gone college last 4 years. Probably keep doing that. I went Caden Bonine out of
Mm,
Coastal Carolina.
yeah.
So kind of in that, left-handed power mold that you spoke of. Yeah. How about you, Phil? What do we got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just like looking through some of the guys on this list here. I Zach Root came across my screen as well. Someone who I think the Mets could use some lefties just in general, um, in their staff and their system. So I think that would be a really good. I like his projections and stuff like that. I like how he looks. But I've also seen hold on, let me find him again.
It's tough at 38. You have no idea who's going to be there. So
Yeah.
you're
It
Yeah,
could be
almost
it could
it's
be
dependent
anyone,
on
but
it could literally could be anybody. You're depending on other teams to leave your guy there or not.
yeah,
yeah, and I
I know
think
I
that's why the last couple of years the Mets have gone with pitchers. Like I said, they've seemed confident in their pitching production, and so I think that if they can trust that kind of development, you might as well just, like you said, cast a wide net and see who clicks. Because at the very least, if we have 7 pitchers who look like they could be in a starting rotation, trade a few of them away and get those position players. Especially now when the team is spending big, it's easy for them to kind of like fill in those other spots. But I
yeah.
think once again, just like kind of going after the pitchers. So the other guy I was looking at, Patrick Forbes, who I've seen mock to them, another right-handed pitcher, another pitcher, right-hander. Um, he's got some better grades than Zach Root, but like this last year for him hasn't really like shown the kind of progress that I guess you'd prefer to see. So I think if I had the choice between Root and Forbes, I'm taking Root. But
I think Forbes could do well in the Mets kind of pitching dev. Forbes has got really good stuff. I'd have to look exactly at the numbers, but he good strikeout numbers. I think he's a guy that, that's really what the Mets do. Just give them like good stuff, and they're gonna figure it out. And there's plenty of guys like that. I gave him in a mock from about 3 weeks ago, Kane Kepley out of UNC, who's a really good athlete. I think he's 5'8".
Hmm.
So not a lot.
yeah, that's
There's teams
also
that, yeah, the Mets,
the
they're not
Mets
too
love
worried. Like they took Jet Williams, 5'7". They're
Drew
not that
Gilbert,
worried about it.
at least on
Drew
Hell Creek.
Gilbert, they love their midgets, if I could say that word.
I'm feeling the short
Uh,
spot.
yeah, so they're worried about their pitchers have good stuff and their hitters are really good athletes. It's like a Forbes, a Kepley, those kind of guys make sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, I think, like I said, there's the pitching is easy for them to kind of, at the very least, flip for some upside.
Hmm.
So,
That's it for today, guys. Next time, we'll be looking at some Vols in the minors. Little SEMO was recently in Knoxville. Drew Gilbert and some others. Join us next time.